I shouldn't say this, the record company will kill me.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time at the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Arjen, thank you so much for your time today. I know that this is a busy week for you. A lot of things are happening.
Oh, yes.
So I truly appreciate you making some time for me on a Friday afternoon to answer some of my questions.
Sure. For you always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's start with maybe even the most important news update. Floor Jansen is cancer-free. And
yes,
we are all very, very happy about that.
Perfect. Yes.
That was a big shock to see, and it was great to see her using her platform that she has. I mean, she has a great following to tell people like, hey, take this serious. Right. It can happen to everyone. If it can happen to me.
I checked.
You know Floor better than most people. You've worked with her for now 20 plus years. What was that like for you to see this whole thing happen?
Well, the first news I heard wasn't that negative. It was that she had breast cancer, but it was solvable. So I immediately sent her an app, and all was good. So, but still, it's not a nice thing to happen to you.
No. And she's on the stage again now, so that's
whoa, cool.
That's been great.
Excellent.
Another update I have to ask you based on our previous conversation. Have you been able to finish the Beatles documentary by now?
No, still not. No, it's too awkward. And each time we're like, shall we go back to it? And now we're watching like The Toughest Prisons. I don't know if you know it, on Netflix. We're watching The Walking Dead now, and it's 11 seasons, and we started all the way from the beginning again. So that will take up the next month.
Yeah. Okay, does that mean that the next Arjen Lucassen album, whether it's Star One, Arjen,
it's all zombies, man.
It's all zombies.
Blood and guts and
I mean, with Ed Warby, you've got a guy that can do some grindcore drums anyway, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Let's start with the Migrator album reissues. We've seen a new video being released. Those albums came out 23 years now, 22 years now.
Something like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
For me as a fan, I kind of always experienced those albums as your true big breakthrough to the international audience. You obviously had some very successful albums before, but with those that double whammy, if you will, all of a sudden it seemed like everybody, at least in Europe, was talking about you. Did you experience that as well in that way? Again, I know these were not your first albums by any means.
No, I think Electric Castle felt like the breakthrough.
Okay.
It was like the record company coming to me with charts, which were still written out then. Look at this. No, what? Seeing it in the charts.
Yeah.
I think I see that as the big breakthrough, especially after Actual Fantasy, which didn't do so well. We didn't get any charts, and I mean the first album, Final Experiment, was a nice surprise. Like, oh, there are people who actually like this.
Yeah.
And then Actual Fantasy went down, and Electric Castle is pretty much the breakthrough. Weird thing at the time, Universal Migrator, I don't think people really got it because I separated the styles. I made this atmospheric, Floydy kind of album and this really heavy metal album. And I'm not sure if also I released them separately, which was not a bright thing to do, because people were like, hey, you want to make more money by separating them, but our whole intention was like the proggies can buy Dream Sequencer and the metal dudes, the headbangers can buy Flight of Migrator, but it turned out they like both of them. They like the combination of the two. So
There was some undeniable star power with those albums.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I think there was very likely a legion of newer Ayreon listeners that bought Flight purely because Bruce Dickinson was on that album. Bruce has to be on an album, and that gets a lot of attention. On the other album, you still had I forget her name right now, but the singer of Kravitz, who at the time were the biggest name, Jacqueline.
Oh yes, yeah.
And they were all the rage at that point. All of a sudden in Europe.
But I'm not sure if that sold me any albums.
Okay, interesting.
To be honest, no. I just like the way, I like the girl and I liked her voice. But I think that's a different market, I think those people, maybe some checked it out and were like, oh my God, no, what is she doing? No, I don't think having people outside of the metal and the prog scene will win me extra fans. I don't think so.
A lot of people know you from your albums where you build stories and you make them come to life that are character based or are emotion based, and you have to orchestrate at times 12 singers in one song. With those albums, you had a very different approach where every song had its own singer. You've done both ways several times now. Assuming that the having multiple singers on one song is an even bigger nightmare for you to coordinate everything, but do you have a preference between those two approaches?
Not at all. I just want to switch it, I don't want it to become a thing, and it just makes it more interesting for me. Each time both are a challenge. It's a challenge to just have one singer and still make the song interesting, because it's a lot easier if you have 10 singers, if you have the Jorn Landers and the Russell Allens and the Floor Jansens in one song, you don't have to work too hard to make it a good song. But if you have only one singer, and especially a singer that might not be a big name, you really gotta write a good song. So it's both a challenge. I would say having one singer a song is a bit more of a challenge than having multiple singers, because I kind of feel, I feel like, okay, this is a power part, this is for this singer, this is a soft part, this is for her. That comes easy to me, but to keep a whole song interesting with one singer it's quite a challenge.
Obviously now with the Dawn of a Million Souls video that has been released for the reissue, which is great. It's maybe one of the most popular songs of those two albums.
With Black Hole, I think so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder why with Black Hole. There has to be something specific that a lot of people
I have no idea who it is. Maybe it's the guy who played the triangle.
Probably, yeah. You have, and maybe you feel different today than maybe 10, 15 years ago, but you've been both very positive and also a little bit less positive about some parts of those albums. I think that you've mentioned before that on these albums are some of your favorite and some of your least favorite songs in your catalog. How do you look back at those albums today?
I think they have the best songs of all my albums, but I think as a whole there's something wrong with it. I still feel that I shouldn't say this, the record company will kill me. We just released it. No, I mean I think Electric Castle, the album before, and Human Equation, the album after, are considered classics. You often see them in the high positions when people make their favorite Ayreon album list. You rarely see the Universal Migrator in there, and I think it's because, like I said before, somehow I managed to unite prog and metal. It's a normal thing now, but back then it wasn't.
Right.
Maybe bands like Queensryche did it, and Dream Theater, Dream Theater did it. But,
I'm sure there's a band somewhere now called Dream Sequencer.
Yeah, maybe. But tearing them apart back then, it made sense for me, and I'm glad I did it. And I wouldn't want to change it, but maybe it made it hard for people, to enjoy it and to see it as a whole. So maybe it would have been better just to switch the songs off, go from from House on Mars to Dawn of a Million Souls. Now it sounds weird, because they don't fit together at all. But that's, I think, what makes Ayreon strong, go from one extreme to another extreme.
In the 01 album, which I still think is my favorite album. I've played that album so many times. That's exactly what you do. You have the story, but you have the chronological story, but then there are kind of songs that kind of break up that in between, where it fast forwards to humankind today and our consciousness and so on. So that is an approach that you kind of then did in that album. That's interesting.
I did it, but it wasn't really a choice. It was I made 01 during my depression.
Right.
It was the time I got divorced, and suddenly I lived alone for the first time in my life, and I was really shitty. So I wrote completely different songs before that depression and after that depression. So I had these 4 songs that didn't fit on the album at all. So I had to find a way, like, okay, maybe these are songs that are just here on Earth and here in the here and now, and they're just I can't find the word now. Comparisons with what happened on Planet Y, and the same thing is happening here on Earth. So a lot of people didn't get it. With Web of Lies, a lot of people. What's that silly song doing about? How do you call it? It's Relation Planet in Holland.
Like somebody's basically using fake identities to kind of get people to. I get excited. I forget the word now as well, but there's like
internet dating.
And catfishing almost, right? Because Simone does a beautiful job in making several people feel very special.
Totally. And people were like, "What the hell is that doing there?" But I noticed it was based on a friend of mine who was totally into the internet, and it was all he did, and he didn't work anymore, and it was like sort of like an addiction, addiction to technology, which is what the album is about. So that's something I saw happening on Earth. So that's why a song like that is there. If you read the lyrics, it's like, this is a boring story, Okay, a guy hugs his wife, and he sees like he goes to his work, but it's only a mile, and he sees the lights up ahead. He's not in a hurry, but he pushes the gas anyway. So what the hell, But
no, for sure.
Yeah.
Those 4 songs were warning signs, basically, that like we're heading the same way as Planet Y.
That's it. Yeah.
You were not in the happiest of times when this album was created.
No.
What's that like for you then now that you are so engulfed by this album again working through it? Is that something that you can completely separate? Is that finished?
Totally.
You don't have PTSD working
not
on
at
these
all.
shows?
No, it's more like, did I feel like that? Did I want to die? Really?
Yeah.
Like really, I used to. This is true. I used to watch Star Trek, and I thought, it would be so easy, to die there. Just get a phaser, or just step out into space. Really, that's the way I was looking at Star Trek.
Yeah.
And right now, I totally can't imagine. So it only makes me feel better. Like I felt that way, and it's possible to get out of it. If I ever feel that way again, I know I can get out of it.
Yeah.
And basically, that's what the album Guilt Machine was all about. On this perfect day. It was all about exercising your demons. So basically, that's the album where we really, Laurie and me, because she went through the same, talked about. But no, it's not like, I write the song when I was depression, now I feel depressed again. Not at all. I just still remember the record company guy saying, "What's the title?" It's 010110. No. What's the title? Really? Tell me what the title is.
It's Why.
They were not happy. And he was not. Well, as long as if you really want it, okay. But I'm not gonna learn it.
as I gaze upon the sky cold.
Was it weird to you that, because let's be honest, like you kind of expect people that if you ever see 8 digits and they're all zeros and ones, that it's kind of straightforward, that it's ASCII code. Was it a surprise to you how many people were kind of hung up by that title and were confused by it?
No. I mean, I'm happy to say that I have a lot of nerdy fans. But it's a positive thing. I'm the upper nerd, you know. I love nerds, and my favorite people.
And all those fans weeks ago, and as we're talking yesterday, were sitting in front of their nerdy computers with multiple screens and in multiple waiting lists, and even with 5 shows now, probably still thousands of people hoping that they can somehow find tickets, because it went very fast. Very fast. There's a lot of drama going on in North America here now, with Ticketmaster being under fire for their monopoly and the way that they set certain rules and what have you.
Okay, I didn't know.
They're being investigated now in the States. That kind of happened at the same day that there were a lot of people on your socials that were like, you know, why are some people allowed to buy 20 tickets and I'm waiting in line for 5 hours and I can't get even one ticket? I know that the artists themselves are not necessarily the ones setting the policies for these online ticket sales, what have you. And I also I know you well enough that when you see all your fans, or not all of them, but thousands of them being emotional about not being able to get a ticket, that is something that bothers you.
It really hurt.
Yeah.
You know, because we had those first 3 shows. We started with 3 shows. We didn't even want to do 4 shows. You know? We were so insecure. And you know, you see this happening, and it's like 6,000 people, and it's like you don't believe it, and it's like crying and partying, and then immediately you saw those messages, and people complaining, and people sad, of course, and a lot of stuff about the
ticket showing up on Ticket Swap for
about
3
the
times
limit,
the price,
20. You shouldn't do the 20 people limit. And it's something, of course, that was discussed with the venue, and they said, well, that's about the average. What we do is do the average, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, so many people were complaining about that. We have the figures. We have the figures. There were only 2 people who bought 20 tickets, and that's it, you know. So if maybe there were scalpers, so there's 40 tickets out there, you know. I mean, it's not a big thing.
Yeah. And people are emotional.
And there are really, but you're damned if you do or damned if you don't, because there's a lot of groups coming. You know, there's a group from Estonia coming with 50 people who were also at the Extravaganza show, and I think the average is like I don't know, 5 people per ticket. I don't know, but anyway, you gotta allow those groups to come, you know. If people want to come with 18 people, there was Norwegian and Swedish fans coming, you have to make that possible too, you know. If only half of them can come, the other missed out. It's so damn if you do and damn if you don't. The only thing we could do was immediately add that 4 show, not expecting it would sell out immediately as well, and then we really, you know, it still hurt. There was still a lot of people who didn't get their tickets, and then it was really. I was thinking about it. I was like, can we do another afternoon show that's really heavy on, you know, because it's a long set, and it's not just the playing, you know, but they have to be there all day, and of course we are 100 people. It's a crew of 100 people. It's 100 people walking around there backstage, you know. You're not in your bed alone, you know. You constantly socialize, which for me is one of the most tiring things, you know. I'm a recluse. I'm not a social person. So. Having said that, I have my own personal dressing room, of course. So.
There you go.
But anyway, the first one, I thought, Ed has to drum for 2.5 hours. in his shows, that's 5-6 hours a day, and he was the first, if he would have said it's too much, I would not even have thought about it.
Yeah, the quality has to be there.
Oh yes, yeah, and he said I'm there anyway. So I called Joost, and Joost said, I was thinking exactly the same thing. Should we do it? Yeah, but it's fine now. It's fine. We sold out, and shall we really do it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I got so many mails every day, and it's like, well, let's. But of course, first we had to ask about 40 people. Are you okay with this?
You're on your own, little extreme fire.
Now, after we did this 5th show, we're not getting that many mails anymore about people complaining. So I think it's this way.
I think people, regardless of their first emotion of missing out on tickets, I think people see that the team has done what's humanly possible to accommodate, right? Now, for everybody that is going, whether or not they have a ticket yet, but for everybody that is going to Tilburg that weekend, what are some other things that they can, because Ayreon weekends are not just Ayreon shows, so what's cooking in the kitchen?
Well, there was we had a cinema planned, which was also on Saturday, so we got to think about that, if we still do that. But there's cinema on Friday, so the Electric Castle Live will be shown there, and Joost and we are going to be quiz masters again at the beginning of the show, with stupid questions. So there's that. We're going to have a pop-up store. That's cool. It's the first time we have that.
Nice.
We're not sure. We're thinking of doing it within O13 in a small venue, but it could also be somewhere else. And that will be really cool, because we also want to have some artists there playing. And there's already, they're already lining up. I'll do it. Yeah, but you have to do 5 shows, 3 days. Yeah, I'll do it, and it's fun. And so we already have a couple of artists who want to do their thing, little acoustic thing. That will be very cool.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
What else? Well, yeah, we have the Ayreon beer and the Ayreon burgers and Ayreon dinners, and the whole neighborhood is in Ayreon mode. And I think that the street will even be called something different. We still have to think about what that is. And I don't know if I'm giving away secrets that I'm not allowed to give away.
We'll have to make sure that people watch those signs, and that some overzealous fans don't decide to take home some memorabilia.
Like the Abbey Road.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I will let you go, and I hope you enjoy a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you so much for the time that you take to answer my questions.
My pleasure, man.
We'll see you in Tilburg.
Cool.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.